Hi, everyone. Welcome. It is the final, countdown, I guess, to the end of the Dear Writer, You Still Need to Quit Kickstarter, the Author Business Phases deck Kickstarter, which is so fascinating to be a part of this experience in the middle of being so busy with so many things. And I am here today. Part of the reason that we're here is to close the Kickstarter, but also we are going to do some live coaching. So if anybody has any questions about anything that's going on in your author career right now, we are here for that. Please feel free to put in the chat whatever your questions are. You can put the word question in front of it so that it's easy for me to find. And then please ask me questions. We are going to be here for at least the next 84 minutes because I need to make sure to close the Kickstarter live so that we can kind of celebrate. Because I actually have something here to do that I'm only going to do when it's actually closed. So hopefully we will have some questions to answer. Please put them in the chat. But also, we are going to give away, when the Kickstarter closes, we're going to give away a seat in the Write Better Faster and or Strengths for Writers course. We did not reach 600, but we are 7 people away from 600. So I'm really hoping that we will pick up some more backers before I'll keep track of where we are, and I'll let everyone know when we reach 600. I hope we will reach it. I can't imagine that we won't reach it between this and the addition of late pledges, because we are going to offer late pledges for at least 24 hours for people to make sure to get this, because this is the only time you're going to be able to get this collectible edition of the book. And just so everybody knows, it's going to be the same size as the other paperback. So it will fit in with your shelf of paperbacks for this. So please like and share. Please tell your friends if they have questions about coaching. If you have strengths questions, please put them in the chat. I am here to answer any live questions. And yes, thank you. It has been a great Kickstarter. I'm very excited for the delivery, because the best part of doing these Kickstarters for me is being able to see what you all do with this information. And I get so much out of when people used the stuck list deck and then they had questions about how to utilize it, and we got to do that workshop together afterwards. It was like you get to see the deck sort of come alive. And because in this particular deck we're doing something new, and that we're including some personality alignment stuff inside the deck, so we've licensed the content of Claire Taylor's To Reclaim Your Author Career book in order to be able to write the book. And then I'm going to use the sort of collected knowledge and etc. And we're creating some content inside the deck for Enneagram types. So with the 5 business phases, then you will get some suggestions for what to do if you are in phase 1 and you happen to be a 3 Enneagram, or phase 2, and etc. So trying to help with some very specific personality related alignment advice in this tool, and I'm very excited about it. So we're extremely close to the next stretch goal. If you haven't yet seen it, please check out the Author Business Phases deck on Kickstarter. I can give you the link for it in the chat, I guess, because I have the ability to do that. But we are getting very close to 600. So please also ask your coaching questions live. And I'll tell you quickly how to participate in the Write Better Faster or Strengths for Writer. I put a link at the very beginning that is betterfasteracademy.com/tourstopgame. That is the link. So on that link, there's an opportunity to fill out a form with a Tour Stop Game entry. And if you tell me that you came to the live, like this is the live, right? If you tell me that you came to the live and you filled out that form, all of the entries from the live entry are going to be considered for this Strengths for Writers or Better Faster, Write Better Faster seat that we're going to give away. So please fill that form out on betterfasteracademy.com/tour stop game. That's how to win the Write Better Faster and or Strengths for Writers seat. So if you have coaching questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. And you can ask me about strengths. You can ask me about alignment. You can ask me about the Kickstarter itself. You can ask me, oh, hi, Roland, yay. You can ask me about author life, mindset, marketing. We did a Kickstarter workshop last night, actually on Crowdcast, where I went through and deconstructed sort of the experience of running these 3 Kickstarters and what I learned about the function and the system of Kickstarters in order to be helpful for that. So you don't have to put a comment in the form as long as I know you were here live. So just make sure that I know this was the November 22nd live or the final stop or whatever it is that we have on that list. But there's no comment required. Anything that is a comment for the live will be counted for that. So, okay, how would we find our strengths and get the results for free? I'm curious about my strengths and asking my characters questions. Oh, interesting. So there's sort of 2 separate versions of the strengths test. One is the one, like, I don't want people utilizing the free versions for their personal use, because you're not going to get the accurate results about what your actual strengths are, because the test is not calibrated. None of the free tests are calibrated the way that the paid one is. But if you want to use them for your strengths, there's one called Top 5. Like the test, I think, is called Top 5 Strengths. And it's not exactly the same test because the Gallup test is calibrated and it's meant for development. But if you want to do something for your characters, the outcome is essentially similar for characters, and you don't need to do development work with your characters. But if you want that version for your characters, you can do that. The other thing you can do, honestly, if any of you have done our development stuff before and you have these cards, you can go through and pick out cards for your characters. And we do this when we teach strengths-based characters. We pick 1 card or 2 cards, and then we work with those personality traits with the characters. So you can do that with them, but there is no free version of the actual Gallup test just because it is so highly calibrated. So yeah, that is a fun, like, using strengths for characters is very fun. The Top 5 test is the one that I would say is better for characters. The other thing you can do, though, I actually find that Enneagram works really well for characters as well. And there's a really great app on the Apple ecosystem called the Blueprint Enneagram app that you can use that has a really, really good free test for Enneagram. It's second only to the IEQ-9 in terms of like what I would consider to be accurate. And yeah, Claire's new book also on Enneagram characters is great. Oh, Aramis, thank you. I'm glad to be here as well. Okay, I'm at the point where I need to scale. I'm worried about managing virtual assistants will take up as much time as doing the admin and marketing tasks. Is there a mindset change needed? So what I would say is if you are managing assistants that need constant management, like they're not capable of being self-managed at any point, then yeah, it's not worth you offloading the tasks. The goal of that infrastructure phase, right, in phase 3 is I might need to train you for a few months. Like I have several assistants. We had to train them for several months, and it took up more of my time than it would have taken me to just do the tasks in the first training part, right? So in that initial 3 to 6 months of training, it would have been way easier for me to do the task myself. The question is it worth me getting my time back when they are able to be self-managed? So the goal hiring on assistants is if you're having to constantly be the manager of them to the point where it's taking you enough time to continue managing them that you could just be doing the work yourself, then you haven't actually created any infrastructure for yourself that's working. You're still the foundational mover of that infrastructure, but it will absolutely take you more time to train them than it would take you to do the tasks. So the question is, are they able to do the tasks themselves without you needing to manage them? Then they really count as that sort of infrastructure phase. So in terms of like mindset shift, I would say the mindset is the question we ask is not, could I do it faster myself initially? You always will be able to do it faster yourself initially. The question is, can they do the job effectively over the long run so I can get my time back so I don't have to be the person doing that? That's more the question that we want to ask. And then we go through that learning curve. Those first 3 to 6 months with a new assistant or with anyone that you're hiring for that infrastructure, ad runners, executive managers, executive assistants, anybody is going to have that transition period. That's an okay when you're sacrificed to make, right, of time. It's not okay if you're never getting that time back. Then that means that they're not actually infrastructure that's working for you. So that's a great question. Oh, we're at 598 backers. So there's a possibility that we might actually be getting it done. That would be great. Okay. So heard your dear author, you need to quit audiobook and love it. Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad, glad, glad. Thank you so much. Oh, good. I'm glad. The audiobook, that one of the reasons that I do my own audiobooks for the previous books was I felt like my voice needed to be in it, but we did hit a bottleneck. And we hit a bottleneck where I was not able to produce the audiobooks quick enough. So one of the things we're going to start doing is releasing these audiobooks of books 3, 4, 5, and 6 that I had someone else record. One of our coaches, Nikki, recorded them. But we're going to start releasing those coming up here in the new year. But I'm going to start doing my own audiobooks again with the Dear Writer, You Still Need to Quit, because I really love doing my own audiobooks. Yeah. Ooh, $5.99. Yay. We're getting so close to the next stretch goal. And I'm so excited for the stretch goal. It is. So if anybody hasn't backed yet, please do. We've only got about like 70 some minutes left. So yeah. Okay. So excited for the next book. Thank you so much. How do you suggest we use our top 5 to tune our business plan that will be successful for us? Excellent question. My first stop is always, what is your number one strength? Because your number one strength is often the thing that a lot of your personality revolves around. So where is it working for you and where is it working against you? And in order to do that, sometimes you need more information about how the strength works. So we encourage you taking your Gallup report. The full 34 report will have this, the top 5 report will have this, but they have these first pages that are very individualized to you. So if you're a number 1 strategic, it will tell you what does strategic look like when you have the strength mix that you have. So what I would do is I would take that report and go through it and highlight absolutely everything that is you. And then after you finish highlighting all the stuff that is you, you take the sentences that are true and you start at the top of a new page in a journal, each sentence, right? So in my number 1 input, one of the sentences is, it's likely that you collect things of value that are important to you and important to learn the learning process. So I have that at the top. And yes, I buy books. I collect links of new podcasts, but also every time I hear a piece of information about a strength, I try to find ways to retain that information. So I've developed this whole infrastructure of mind palacing over the course of my experience with this, where that's now one of the traits that I execute on in order to get better at that thing. But I wouldn't have known that the collecting was a particular talent that only I had. I mean, not me only in the entire world, but that it was specific to the input. I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't gotten to know the strength. So one of the first things we have to do at the very beginning of our strengths journey is to look at, what do I do specifically on a day-to-day basis that shows me that number one trait? So you go through the full 34 report, highlight, take each sentence of the highlight and put and write down everything that you do on a day-to-day basis that is that thing, because you want to see, where exactly is my input showing up? And then the next step beyond that, which you don't have to do this, but it's what I eventually suggest. So you want to look at what's you, name and claim, right? And then look at everything you do that is that. And then the next step beyond that is this working for me, or is there something I need to do to help myself with this or to fix this thing, right? So then once I do that, which is often what we do in coaching, it's often what we do in Strengths for Writers, it's often what we do in micro coaching, all that's on the Patreon, or just individual coaching. But you can do this on your own. It's just that it takes a lot of time to go through the process. So I want us to start with the number one because it is our strongest area, and start tuning that at the beginning, because that kind of work, especially the, is this working for me or is it working against me? And especially the perspective, right, can be really helpful. The other thing we do, that we have available, if you want to utilize that, is that we did some interviews with authors who have a particular strength, and it is betterfasteracademy.com and then slash next hyphen steps hyphen videos. So next hyphen steps hyphen videos. And those have all 34 of the strengths videos on them that will help you get to know, what does this look like? How am I like this? And how am I not like this? And sometimes, and all we really are concerned with is, how am I like this? I don't want to parse through exactly how I'm not similar to other people, but I want to focus on, how do I do that? And does it work for me or does it work against me? Like, those are the big questions. So that's kind of the starting point. We have a post on this called the highlighting exercise that is on the Patreon, if you want to search for that, where I kind of walk everybody through how to do that. But that's where I begin, because you have to know what these things look like and whether or not you are fully utilizing the traits that you have. But you've got to kind of start from your own individualization, right? Like, how does this apply to me? Which is starting from the report, usually the Gallup report, because it's so individualized. Just a quick reminder, if you're here hoping to get the Write Better Faster or Strengths for Writers seat, go to betterfasteracademy.com/tourstopgame and fill out the form. No comment needed, just you can tell us you were there. Fill out the form for the final live, right? And tell us that you were here on November 22nd. And then everybody who fills that form out for the 22nd is going to get entered into some prize winning opportunities, one of which is a seat in either Write Better Faster or Strengths for Writers the next time we run it. And more of the prizes are things in the Kickstarter itself. So we're going to give away a vinyl album of the selected audio shorts. We're going to give away a deck. We're going to give away a book. So we're going to give away things all throughout. And then the other thing we're giving away, which I'm very excited about, is these, we made some friendship bracelets. And so each of the stops has its own friendship bracelet. And by the way, on the tour stop game, there are some tour stops that only have one person who has filled out the form so far. And so if you're a person who is really big into podcasting, we're going to keep most of the tour stops open throughout the entirety of this day. And then we'll pick all of the winners, and then we'll either post them in the newsletter or notify them. We'll probably do both, just because I want the list to be out there so people can see it. But we will pick the winner of the Write Better Faster Strengths for Writers at the end of this video. So when the Kickstarter has closed, we'll pick that here. So, okay. Question. Lots of thinking strengths, but low in action. Can I put this on the Oh, I can't. Okay, so we won't be able to see this like we can in Crowdcast, but at least I can read it out to everybody. Lots of thinking strengths, but low in action, or I'm assuming low in executing strengths. Regarding courses and such, I'm terrible at taking the steps. How do I know if I need to think about the thing more or if I'm fear-based procrastinating? Okay, here's what I would do, because I think when we're asking this question, it's almost always at least a little tiny bit of fear, right? So what I would do is when I'm waking up in the morning and I'm getting ready for my day, try opening the manuscript and just see if you can get the book open for the day. And if you don't have a manuscript, try doing one of the action steps from the course. But I'm just going to say, I think a lot of us do things like, I'm going to take this ads class or this direct sales class or this TikTok class that everybody's talking about. And we haven't actually done the parsing through of whether or not it's a good strategy for us personally to execute. We're just doing it because everybody keeps telling us to do it. And sometimes that lack of ability to execute on the steps in a course is actually your brain reminding you that this is not a thing that you should be worrying about. And if you were to ask me as a coach, there's a high likelihood I would say, yeah, that's not something you need to worry about in the phase you're in right now. So a huge amount of selecting out of some of these things is either I don't have the skills yet to be able to act on this, or I'm not in the right phase of business to be acting on this yet, which is again one of the reasons that we're doing this book and deck in the first place, is to kind of help people say, like, a lot of these things I don't need to worry about right now. There's no urgency that I need to execute on this ASAP, or else that urgency is like a false sense of urgency. And so a lot of, for me at least, a lot of what I coach people in is waiting and listening to your intuition about this. So, but in terms of taking action on things, I like to encourage people, if you don't have a lot of action strengths, to adopt a methodology, which is when I learn something new, I stop and execute. So if I'm learning how to make a TikTok, instead of just continuing to learn because it feels good, I learn something new, I stop and I execute. And then I just stop and execute and stop and execute. Because otherwise, the thinking strengths get into a cycle where they really do just continue going. Like it's a danger zone, right, of just not moving, and not allowing ourselves to do the work. And wondering whether it's fear or not is a decent indicator that there is some fear going on there. But also, this is why we talk about Enneagram pretty consistently around here. Because when you fear something, like when you have that anchor that's holding you down, holding you back from moving, just trying to force yourself to move isn't always the answer. Like sometimes you actually have to do the work to heal the part of yourself that is not feel okay, right? So, yeah, great question. Okay. Oh, hi, everybody, and welcome. Don't forget, betterfasteracademy.com/tour stop game is the link to go to find the comments for where you can enter into win the Write Better Faster or Strengths for Writers seat. So there's a spreadsheet form to fill out on that link. Fill that out in order to be able to be entered to win Strengths for Writers or Write Better Faster. Okay. Thanks so much for all your advice. From what I know, I'm stuck between stages 3 and 4. Do you have suggestions for pushing through habits and barriers that are keeping me from moving? So it really depends on what the barriers are, what the advice is, right? Because if the barrier is about I'm afraid of success, then that's a whole separate style of barrier breaking that we have to do from like I'm afraid of failure, which is a whole separate thing from I'm afraid of exposure, which is a whole separate thing from I'm afraid of losing what I have, right? So a lot of it depends on what it is that's causing the fear. When I do the cards in the Kickstarter for the Enneagram stuff, that's part of what we're going to talk about in those cards and in the book. And part of why I want Claire to come in and talk to us on the development level about how your strength and your Enneagram number might interact is that an awful lot of the fear that comes up around us not making movements or taking forward action has to do with this thing that's at the core of who we are that we're afraid of messing with. And so much of that is going to be dependent. So if you want to describe more about it, like we've still got at least an hour worth of time. If you want to describe more of what the fear is, I can help more specifically with that. But just the general like fear, I have to know more specifics to be really helpful. Yeah. Okay. But keep asking because I'm here. Okay, so developer, empathy, learner, strategic relator. Okay, lots of relationship building strengths, some thinking strengths. I'm self-publishing my first book soon. Congratulations. Based on my strengths, view any marketing suggestions for what is best for me to try. My suggestions with a high relationship building strength, especially with relator, is always to do newsletters and to do something like Zoe Bub or Book Funnel Swaps or something like that, where you are relying on bringing in new readers in small amounts in order to try to find your audience. And then you're putting the collection of your newsletter in your book so that you can continue to collect people organically over the process. But because you're high relator, my suggestions are almost always going to be more newsletter oriented, more subscription service oriented, stuff like that. Way, way, way less social media marketing, probably. But yeah, I would say release the book, get the newsletter, maybe do some swaps, maybe run some low level AMS ads. And then I would, oh, yay. Oh, we just hit 600. Yay. Okay, I'm so excited about this. So we have some, so obviously we've already upgraded all of these things in the levels on the Kickstarter, where we have the embossed books. We're doing sprayed edges on the books. We have the physical decks now that we are doing also, and we had a special card that we are doing that goes inside of the deck, that these collector's edition cards that we have. So we have one of the collector's edition cards, we have a sticker, and we're also going to do a temporary tattoo. So that is the expansion level for 600 is that we're going to do this temporary tattoo. So everybody who's getting a mailed package from the Kickstarter gets a deck, a physical deck from the upgrades. You get the special edition paperback. You get the embossed paperbacks. You get the sticker, and we're going to do a temporary tattoo. And then in addition to that, for all of the people who are getting the digital rewards as well, we have a one sheet that we're doing with all of the business phases information in like a clear and concise sort of way. We're going to put some metrics on there and stuff. I'm going to give you a spreadsheet for figuring out where you're at and trying to understand more of the context of the business phases. And then also I'm going to do a delivered workshop on the business phases as well. And then one of the upgrades also was that we're going to add some of the Enneagram stuff in there into the workshop. So that's exciting. I'm excited for that. So yay, we hit 600. Congratulations. I don't know if Roland is still here or not, but you were right. You were right. Okay. So that was the developer question. Okay, next question. I keep getting distracted from my fiction projects by nonfiction ideas. How do I tone down my number one developer to stop myself from hobbling my fiction business? Yeah, that's a great question. It's so hard when you have developer, especially if you have that. If you happen to be a 2 or a 3 Enneagram, some ones can be like this as well, where you have that helpfulness desire, that helpfulness urge. What I would probably do is write first. Like I would do your fiction business first. And a lot of people are hesitant to do this because they feel like, but I have all these responsibilities. And I'm like, right, that's perfect. Having those responsibilities means that you will execute them. So we want to try to do your fiction business first with your time so that all of the responsibility and the other drive will make you get all those other things done. But the goal is to do the fiction when you are wired this way, especially with your first time, so that you're spending your first and best time in your own fiction business. So, yeah, how much fun it's been. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you. I'm so glad for that. 2 on the Enneagram and 4 developer. Yes, Trish, also anybody who has developer can be this, but 2 enneagrams so much, like just so much. So okay. um 1 achiever, 4 competition, 5 focus on reaching a financial goal for years. Now that I have, I'm struggling to ease up and add in self-care, socializing, and other things besides earning money. So, because achiever and competition and focus are always so driven, right? Like there's always that push forward. I would say if you're not able to slow down even though you have reached financial goals, then there's something else driving that. And just looking at your strengths, if you haven't done a one-on-one with Claire Taylor yet, I would consider doing that with your Enneagram just because there's probably something else going on there that is not letting you slow down, because the drive of the strengths is one thing, but the fear of what happens if I don't is a different thing. And strengths are easy to do when the positive drive is there, when the desire is there. It's hard for me to coach strengths when there's the fear stuff is hanging out in there as well. um so yeah, I would probably do a one-on-one with Claire. Yeah. I'm a number 1 focus, 2 achiever, 3 analytical, 4 learner, 5 competition, 7 consistency, 8 discipline. Nice. I feel like I have an insanely strong engine, but due to health issues, I can only write 40 hours a week. I used to do 60 to 80. It put me in the hospital. I'm so sorry. How can I manage my strengths without endangering health? I feel so limited by my body. Yeah, this is such a pain point, and I'm so sorry for this. I do think it's important to see the other parts of you as also being like contributing. So when we have health, chronic illness or other illness that comes up that makes us unable to do things that we have done in the past, what we're essentially doing is we're redirecting that energy to keep ourselves functioning well. So it isn't that we, and again, this is hard for the focus achiever, et cetera, to understand, but focusing on becoming more secure in what I can accomplish is really important. This is another place where I would probably encourage a one-on-one with Claire Taylor, because it sounds like there's a drive there that is being driven by a fear of what will happen if I don't work all of these hours. Like, what happens if I can't? What happens if I'm not able to accomplish everything that I could have, quote unquote, could have accomplished if I had this other version of myself? And you're not alone. If you ever get a chance to watch Yasmin Galenorn's YouTube channel, she does a lot of kind of content around being that high achiever, competition, high focus person who also has chronic illness and struggles with how to balance those things. So she does some intuitive writer content. She does some like self-care, balance, drive content as well. So I would suggest that. I think doing some coaching with somebody like Nikki might be helpful as well. But I really think that Claire Taylor is the place that I would suggest starting. Um, Number 1 relator, and I understand why I really like my newsletter. Yep, 100%. Um, Thank you. Feeling blind is the steps. Like I almost feel like it's a generalization thing. My parents ran a small business. My business is profitable. Maybe it's in me. Not sure if that makes sense. It does. I think, do you know what your strengths are, or your Enneagram number? That would be helpful as well, just to try to narrow down on what might be the fears between those places. Um, popping in to say how much fun it's been. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Looking forward to the Kickstarter stuff to get delivered. Yeah, it is gonna be fun. I don't Oh, okay. Yeah, what I would probably do is, if you have an Apple iPhone, I would take the blueprint test, right? Like, just find out what your Enneagram number is, because when there's something that is like, when I hear you talk about that, well, so I don't know if this is in me or not. I don't know if I can do this. The thing is, it is not like you are capable. You wouldn't be asking the question if you weren't capable. But there's a part of you that is afraid of what happens if it doesn't happen. And that's the part that needs to be healed, right? Like, that's the part that needs like, there was a piece of you in many years past that was afraid of something, and this fear soothed something, right? And so it is yes, I'm glad that it resonated a little bit, because the fact that you're asking the question means that and I'm not saying it's not logical for us to be afraid that we don't have a capacity, but when you are already doing it, like, you're already running it, right? You're already doing it. And then you have this growth opportunity in front of you, and you're continually asking yourself if you have what it takes. So there's two potential options, right? Either you don't have what it takes right now to be where you will be in 2 years, but that's okay, because you will acquire the things that you need to get where you will go, right? Or you already have what it takes, but you are not believing that you do, because of an old version of you felt insecure, and it helped answer a question in you, and now you answer those questions by feeling insecure consistently. So it's not necessarily true that you don't have the capacity, but you believing that you didn't have the capacity helped you in some way when you were younger. So when it helps us in some way to question whether we have the capacity or not, then we continue to do it. So my goal then is to say, like, let's try to heal over the space that's making me feel like I can't do the thing, because the bottom line is, either I try to do something I don't know if I have the ability to do, and either I do it or don't in the moment, but either way I'm going to learn and get better, or I I I fail at it, right? Like, and I quit. And either one of those things is fine, but probably both of them would include just doing the thing, right? Like moving forward. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep. 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 Okay. Question. Strengths, deliberative empathy, context, developer harmony. I can't seem to finish my writing project. I want to know how to work with my strengths to finally finish a book. I understand myself as a person, but I find it hard to do so from, oh, hang on. Parenthesis, um, uh, I wanted to know how to work with my strengths to finally finish a book. So to Princess D2E, I need just a tiny bit more context there about that question, because that not being able to finish a writing project, like, if it's your first book, that's a different context, from, like, something specific is going on right now that is, empathy and developer and harmony are being affected by my environment, and it's not allowing me to really focus in, and etc., is a really different question from, this is my first book and I haven't been able to finish a book. And so give me just a tiny bit more context, and then I can help there. Okay. I understand myself as a person, but I find it hard to do so from my strengths or Enneagram perspective. I write intuitively, but don't understand story structure books. That's pretty normal with strategic. But I worry I might be missing out on something important if I don't force myself to understand these analytical frameworks more. So, strategic is an extremely intuitive strength. And what happens is, you have story structure understanding in your head, you just don't know you have it. So, when you're an intuitive writer, and you can read the intuitive book if you want to know more about this, but because Susan and I talk about this in that book. if you're an intuitive writer, especially if you have high strategic or high empathy or high arranger, high individualization, you already have these narrative story structure frameworks in your head as an intuitive writer, and you are writing according to them. You are writing according to the structure. You just don't know that that's what you're doing, because you're writing according to like an inner sense of understanding of people, or you're writing according to an inner sense of what's compelling or what makes a good story. So all of those things are possible to do with intuition. You don't have to know analytical frameworks in order to be able to write according to them. In fact, most of the time, intuitives trying to focus on concrete external frameworks ruins their intuitive process completely, which is why we encourage a lot of intuitive writers to just write what you feel, write what you think is right, and then either afterward go back and see if there are things you can tweak, or just don't worry about it. Just get the books edited and allow yourself to write what sort of is in your intuition to write. So just in the sense of like, what is intuition? Intuition is the assimilation of patterns internally that make decisions for you without you knowing what happens. So when you have high strategic, this happens a lot because strategics are anticipators, right? So they're reading or listening to something, they're listening for structural frameworks that they're not conscious of them, they're unconscious. And then they write or think or talk or tell stories according to those subconscious frameworks. And we talk about this in the intuitive book. I think this is really important to understand. When you are looking backwards into story structure or story knowledge or story understanding, a lot of us are looking at things that are very systematized, like things that we understand now and know and have frameworks and names for. But the reality is, before those frameworks were known and understood, people were writing intuitively those kinds of stories. They were writing tropey stories, interesting stories, hero's journey stories before they knew what they were called, because the internal intuitive storyteller process is naturally writing according to those frameworks, because the frameworks are compelling. The frameworks are aligned, they are accurate. So intuitive storytellers don't need that kind of structure. And what they do over time is they hone more and more how they tell stories. So they learn little pieces like, well, I've got to end every scene with a compelling hook moment, or I've got to always be upping the stakes or always challenging myself or giving myself something new, rather than, okay, it's the black moment. What do I do here? Like, that kind of analysis of story structure is not good for every writer to do. And especially when it comes to how you construct stories from scratch, not everyone is good at that kind of external analytical methodological thing, right? Like, a lot of us are more intuitive storytellers, and we need to allow ourselves to have the freedom to do that. So just seeing strategic, seeing empathy, like, often I'll say to people, there's no need for us to do that, right? We don't need to be that conscious about it. Just let your strategic do its job. So yeah. Yasmin Galenorn, Galenorn. Yep. And she does a lot of intuitive content as well. Okay. Thank you for answering my question. You're welcome. Happy to help. If anybody has only answered a partial question, please feel free to give me more context. Learning to trust my intuition on story structure was game-changing for me. I'm so glad to hear that. I don't use structure until the revision process is a check. Yep. I'm currently finishing up a work in progress for a new series, but find myself distracted because my sales fell off a cliff. Yeah. Yep. It's very difficult for us when we care about how sales are moving, to maintain forward motion, even in the midst of difficulty of sales, right? So this is one of the reasons that I really wish for some of us that we could just not look at the data, because for some of us, it's actually going to cause us not to work. It's going to demotivate us. But if at all possible, I would remind yourself that sales fluctuate, and we can't allow, if we want to maintain our forward motion, we can't allow randomized data. So sales are not always indicative of an intentional pattern. Sometimes sales are just indicative of being alive, right? So going up and down, especially. So if there's any way to remind yourself, like Loki's in charge, just keep writing. Loki's in charge, just keep writing. Yeah. Damn it, Becca. Yep. I'm number 3, strategic, and my husband refuses to watch mysteries with me. Yeah, because you'll guess the ending all the time. Yep, because you know what story structure is intuitively, and you know what's going to happen. Of course. Yep, totally makes sense. This would be my attempt at my first book. I outline stories and may start drafting, but I always stop early on. I always get scared that it's the wrong idea or process and that the story is bad or too big, which makes complete sense to me, right? Like that is a very common deliberative response in terms of I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. If you also happen to be a 6 Enneagram or a 5 Enneagram, I would suggest this, but I'm going to make a suggestion. My suggestion would be to try to work with a story coach if you can, to see if it's possible to get through by relying on somebody else's feedback to provide you with a little bit of security. So you can talk to somebody like Susan Bischoff, who's a coach for us. Don Alexander is really good at this, from Don Alexander Books. Becca Mysore is good at this. Christina James is good at this. Or Chris James, Kris James, or Jane, Jayne, I think. So there are some people who are really good at providing that kind of story coaching, but not necessarily telling you what to write. It might just be reading it and checking in and saying, hey, yes, keep going. This is good. But sometimes when you have some of those, like deliberative is one of them, we see this with a lot, intellection, 6 Enneagram, 5 Enneagram, this learner, this desire for competence or for to know that things are correct or right? Like a 1 Enneagram. If there's anything standing in the way of allowing you to trust, it might actually help to have somebody else to rely on. So I would definitely try that first. This is such a relief to hear about the intuitive writing. I have to run, but thank you for answering. Oh, good, good. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. Really quick, in case anybody's new and looking for the I Want to Win, Write Better Faster, Strengths for Writers, if you go to betterfasteracademy.com/tour stop game and fill out the form for this stop, which is the final tour stop, the final live closing of the Kickstarter, then there will be, we'll do a drawing at the very end of all the people who filled that form out. So you need to do it in about the next 45 minutes. Hang on, I'm just going to check really quick what the Kickstarter is doing. Oh, we're at 6:02. Yay. Oh, that makes me happy. Makes me very, very happy. Yeah. Okay. Currently, I'll finish and outlining and won't get even to the drafting because I fear that I'll quit. Yes, like my goal in talking to first-time authors is to remind us that your first draft is always going to be the hardest when you're wired in this way, because it's going to take you the longest amount of time to learn how to trust yourself. But not being able to finish a draft is often about not understanding what it is that first drafts are for. But first drafts are not meant to be perfect. They're not meant to be without flaw. They're not meant to be the best of the best idea of all time. They are just meant to teach us how to finish drafts. And so sometimes what we need is just somebody else to work with us to move through that draft. Yeah. Okay. Futuristic, ideation, strategic, relator, input, learner, competition, and election sig, author, business phase 3 with 2 pen names, Kate, one of which I might dump to make way for a new pen name, but I'm having difficulty deciding on my path to get where I want to go. How can I nail down my strategic direction in this business? Okay. So really quickly, I want to say if you are strategic and futuristic, and let's say if you have any version of any other drive strengths, so achiever, competition, significance, command, woo, strategic, uh, um, yeah, those are the main ones, but there are others, right? If you have futuristic and strategic in any version of those strengths, I have good news and bad news. You cannot practice resulting in this industry. You can't know for sure which one is the best of two pathways. So you can't know for sure which one will yield you 100% knowledge that this is the one that's going to get you where you want to go, right? You have to take a chance. Like you have to have the courage of, I'm just going to do this and I'm going to trust that if this isn't the way, that there will be other ways. Because what we do when we get into this, like it has to be now, it has to be now, that feeling of like anxiety of if I don't do this right now, I'm going to miss my shot. That is not going to happen. Like there are so many shots on goal that will be available to people and continue to be available to people. The only thing that will happen is if I stress myself out enough, I'll either not take action, which I think is something I see commonly, or I will make some kind of like self-care or other energy penny sort of mistake that will burn me out and make me lose more of my market share. And so what I would do is for futuristic and strategic, I can't know the answer farther down than I can actually predict. So there are certain things I can't predict until I get farther down. And I think of it as actual steps, like you're making steps in a game, right? Where I'm doing this, and then that, and then this, and then that. And I can see this, and then those options, that, and then those options, this, and then those options. So I can see a certain number of steps down the road and know what the likely outcomes will be. But what I can't do is know with 100% certainty that this path is going to get me to that thing, or this path is going to get me to that thing. Everything that I do in this business on some level is a gamble. So what I want to do is stop trying to practice resulting, right? I want to not hold myself accountable to I'm only allowed to do this thing if it will work, because I have to be willing to take chances in order to find the thing that will work. So what I would say in terms of the deciding the path to get where I want to go, if you consult with somebody and you ask them like, how should I release this book? And they give you the answer and you don't feel certainty about it. And then you consult with somebody else and you don't feel certain, and consult with somebody else and don't feel certain. Go and book with Claire Taylor and do your Enneagram work and talk about the fear that's holding you back from making these decisions. Because sometimes the only thing that we can do in a situation is try stuff. Like we can't know what's going to happen. We can't predict the future with 100% certainty. So we have to try some stuff. And that's probably going to mean us taking some chances and having some risk. And so we want to lean into this. I want to do things as quickly as I can. And I hearken back to this quote that I heard from one of my friends, which was, if I had known how many one-star reviews it would take to get to seven figures, I would have wanted them to come so much faster than they did. And the goal of that kind of conversation that she was having with herself was, don't worry so much about what might happen and just make yourself take action and make yourself take action. Because it really is the constant ability to push ourselves forward and take chances that helps us to become the smartest version of ourselves. So that is absolutely important for me with futuristic and strategic. The combination of those two strengths often makes us want to try to practice resulting, because we can anticipate far down the road and we can often see things. But then the answer for strategic is, if you can't see it, if you can't see for sure what the outcome will be, you're not far enough down the road yet. Right? Like you haven't gone far enough down the road. So we want to try as much as possible to encourage strategic and futuristic to say, I've got to take some more forward steps before I can know the answer to that. And there is no such thing when you don't know the answer as inefficiency, because you've got to get more data in order to be able to know how to take more actions. So that is super important. Really great question. Thank you for asking that. Yeah. Type 4 Enneagram. Oh, okay. So if you're a type 4 Enneagram, you're partly like wound up by doing the thing that's right for you, or doing the thing that is the most aligned for the characters, or the most significant for your career, or doing the important thing, or getting the right. So like it depends on what the outcome is that you were looking for. There's a possibility that working with a book coach will fix that, because it will remind you, like, you're going to have to take some chances to finish the story and see how this works. But they'll also help you kind of shape that over time. Susan especially has high individualization. She's very for Enneagram friendly. Susan Bischoff, if you want to work with her. But first books are the most difficult in for those of us who are wired this way, just because we have to learn that there is no perfect, right? There is only finished, and then we want to learn what we can and move on to the next. And so releasing some of that will be important. I still would suggest potentially Claire, working with Claire Taylor, liberatedwriter.com. But also, if you want to get more into the book more quickly, you can use it like a book coach, right? Yeah, great questions, you guys. Developer empathy. Oh, hang on. Developer empathy, learner strategic relator, type 6. Do you have suggestions for how to maximize my number one developer in my author career? So it would depend for me on what it is that your type 6 wants to get out of your author career. If it's relational, then I would make sure that you are staying connected in networks with other authors, that you are keeping your relationships really tight and focused, and continuing to bring more people into your circles so that you can have those relater, deeper friendships with people as you move down the road. Developer and empathy tend to be very character driven strengths inside the writing. And so continuing to lean into your intuition and learning how to hone your intuition as a writer, especially also with strategic, will be really important. So that's how I would maximize that, is the people that surround you are going to help you in your career. And then you becoming more and more familiar with how to use your intuition is going to be helpful. Oh, hi, Mila. Today I realized how much my core fear of incompetence seems to block me. Yep, absolutely. Any quick tips on this? So this for me, when my goal is competence, like my goal long term is competence, I have to be really cautious when my day-to-day goal is to avoid incompetence, because what actually creates competence in the long term is acknowledging that there are many forms of incompetence in me right now. Like, if my long-term goal is mastery, I have to acknowledge that I am not the best piano player in the world when I'm 7 years old. But if I want to be the best piano player in the world, the best thing that I can do is tackle each one of those incompetencies one at a time as I'm moving towards more and more competence, which means I have to become comfortable with them existing. I have to allow them to exist and be friendly with them, because tackling each one of those incompetencies over time is how I become this thing that I want to be long term, which is very competent. The hardest people to work with in the world are people who are so afraid of incompetence that it makes them uncoachable. Because if you're not willing to admit, like, in order for, not you and I, Mila, because we're doing strengths for writer stuff, but me and a coaching person, in order for me to maximize my effect with them, they have to be willing to be vulnerable with me, and they have to be willing to say, like, this hurts, this is hard, I don't like this, so that I can say, I know this is awful, let's go through this together, like, let's face this together. Because only in facing those parts of our incompetence are we actually going to heal over those spots, and or maximize those places, and or get better faster, right? We have to be willing to enter into the place where we acknowledge that there's nothing dangerous about incompetence. You would never sit 7-year-old Becca down and put, you know, Bach Prelude and Fugue in front of me and be like, "Why can't you play this? Why can't you play this?" You know instinctively because I'm 7 and I've only had by the time I was 7, I had 3.5 years of piano lessons, right? So, I've only had 3.5 years of piano, 2 of them were Suzuki. I hadn't had classical training very much yet. I didn't have the dexterity or the ability to do that Bach Prelude and Fugue. Becca at 40, how old am I? 6? What year is it? 25? Yeah, 46, can do that. And you can expect me to do that. And you can expect me to very quickly move through a new piece of classical training because I have, let's see, 18, 19, 20 years of lessons. And then an additional 25 years after that of professional musicianship under my belt. So, like, you can expect that from me because my competence is very high. You can't expect that from 7-year-old Becca. That's not fair. So, when I am younger in my learning curve of something, I'm not capable of performing at the same level that I would be when I have more competence. What I want in those moments with 7-year-old me is, okay, great. You don't know how to do that jump yet. You don't have a 13 finger reach yet. Okay, great. Let's work on that. Because that's where you are in the learning process. So we want to be as gentle with that kid or that part of us as we possibly can, because only in the gentleness am I going to develop those skills enough to be able to get myself to a place where I can have that capital C competence. If I'm constantly expecting high levels of competence from myself, but not giving myself the grace of not being able to function in a skill that I don't have, then I'm always going to remain at a low level of competence. So, if what I really want is a high level of competence, I need to get real friendly with being okay with the current incompetence that I have because it's just a pathway towards greater competence. Like, I knew this at 6 and 7. I knew this at 10 and 12 and 14. I knew that I was going to be a good piano player because I loved it so much. I threw myself into it. I could see myself in that space long term, but it was also very painful to sit with that piano teacher every week and be like, yeah, I still suck at these things. Yeah, I'm still not as good as I want to be. I'm still not as good as you. Right. But I had to become real friendly with my incompetence at those ages. And I'm so grateful to the people who taught me that it was okay to not have everything together because I needed to learn that part in order to learn the other skills. So I need to become really friendly with the places in which I am not competent because it's how I get more competent is exposing those places. Yeah. My sales are still low, and I'm working on getting my 23rd book finished. It's an epic natural disaster thriller, so it's a bit hard as I struggle with, will this be good enough to bring me sales and more? So how I would answer that question, this is for Kat who had asked this, is I would say, if it is not at this point, it will be, right? So let's say that this particular book isn't the place that is gonna bring me the huge numbers of sales, but in order for me to get to that place where I get the huge numbers of sales, I've got to go through this, right? Then you absolutely need to go through this. Yeah. So it's okay, even if it doesn't bring you huge amounts of sales right now. If this book isn't the one, that's okay because you still have more opportunities in the future. Is it possible to win a second SFW? I mean, if we pick you, you could take SFW again. You could also, though, do Write Better Faster, which might, like, that's usually what I suggest. If you've done one but not the other and you win, I would do the other one and then do this one rather than doing this one again. So, hashtag damn it, Becca. Yeah, that is it, right? My number 6 strategic hates you right now. Yeah, I know. I know. Would you say that over analyzing the process can cause authors to fall out of love with writing? Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, especially if we are naturally intuitive, which I would assume, again, the person who answered this question had put their strengths in previously in their Enneagram. I would assume that you err more towards the intuitive side. So, too much analyzing, too much awareness takes away the magic, definitely. Thank you, Becca. And damn it, Becca. I feel like I should highlight that comment for like all of time. Thank you, Becca, and damn it, Becca. In fact, I'm just really quickly going to screenshot that because that feels like a microcosm of a macrocosm of my life. This was a light bulb for me. It's been a heck of a year, and I've been struggling with this work in progress thing. I think I'm a 2, and I'm worried that people won't like it. Yeah. Yep. I can see that. Claire scared me, and I stopped the class because it was too scary. I mean, it is scary. Facing some of your Enneagram stuff is scary. I think if the class was too much, I would consider doing a one-on-one, or you can also ask me questions. I think sometimes when it was frightening, then like there's a reason why. And if you tell me what was scary about it, then we can usually do something about it. Yeah. It is scary when you dig in, but it's so worth it. Yeah. I guess I know what I need to focus on in 2026. Yeah. No, it's not dumb at all. It's frightening. Yeah, it is frightening. It's intense, but worthwhile. Yep, 100%. Can you explain how it's intense as I want to look into the coaching? I mean, facing the thing that you are the most afraid of, right? Like facing the thing that is the most scary to you is really terrifying. Like for me, when I think about what scares me the most as a 2, and the first time I read this is what the 2s are really afraid of, and I cried. I immediately cried because I'm like, yeah, that sounds just terrifying. And somebody made the comment, which I thought was really accurate, that, well, none of the fears sound nice. Like none of the fears of the Enneagram sound nice. No, none of them sound great, but some of them are scarier than others. And it genuinely was scary to me. So yeah. My boyfriend is a 5, and I can just picture him shedding at the mere mention of incompetence 100%. Yep. Yeah. It's such a childhood gift to not be afraid to fail. Yeah, it really is. Like, I am forever grateful that at young ages, I was more comfortable with failing because it gave me a lot of ability to take chances, right? Almost done with Write Better Faster, so enlightening. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you so much for that. Unless you have parents who don't want you to fail. Yep. And then you learn that it's not friendly to fail, but you can still learn as an adult that it is friendly. Yeah. If I'm not able to afford coaching right now, what do you recommend to move forward? I would read, Beatrice Chestnut has a book called The Enneagram Guide to Development, or the Enneagram Development Guide. And I would read that. You can also read Claire's book, but it is a little shorter. The Beatrice Chestnut book I like because it's like really thick, really, really thick. I finally accepted that gay romance isn't working for me right now, which is why I'm embarking on my cozy mystery journey. I love that. Becca, how can we book coaching sessions with you? Is it just via Patreon right now? Actually, there's a couple of ways you can do it. The Patreon, yes. But that would be more for like ongoing coaching monthly. You can reach out to Angela, manager at betterfasteracademy.com, and she can get you a one-off in December because my November calendar is full right now. But also you can enter the quarterly program. So in the quarterly program, I see you twice a year in person, like via Zoom, and twice a year asynchronous via email. And that is lower cost than seeing me every month, right? Because you only see me quarterly. And so sometimes that can be a little bit more budget friendly way to see me. And we still have openings in December's quarterly coaching program. So if you email Angela, she can get you into that. And again, it's manager at betterfasteracademy.com. But you can also book through the Patreon. I do have openings on the Patreon currently. So yeah. Okay, question. Oh, really quick, if anybody's new and looking for the way to win Write Better Faster or Strengths for Writers, if you go to betterfasteracademy.com/tourstopgame and you are here on the call and you tell us by filling out the form. I was here on the call. In about 30 minutes, I'm going to pick a winner from that form, and we will pick it live, the winner of that prize. Yeah. Okay. Is there a link between basement strengths and shadow work? Like, can figuring out the negative effects of my strengths help me acknowledge my shadow side? I would say there's a closer overlap with doing basement work. With doing low level health Enneagram work and shadow work. So, like in the Enneagram, there's level 1 to 9 health, and the low numbers like 8, 9, 7, 8, 9 are low levels of health. I think there's a little bit more overlap between shadow work and Enneagram work. Some of the strengths basements can get there, but there's a reason why I have a hard time using strengths when I start to hear fear language, because with fear language, it is typically shadow stuff, right? And so Enneagram work and fear stuff are a little bit more. There goes the last pop-up. Oh, hang on a second. Oh my gosh, hang on. We're only 13 minutes to go on the Kickstarter. We are at, the last pop-up workshop. Really? So we have 10 pop-ups now that are rolling. Tell me, are they all booked? Okay, so these pop-up workshops, I have to say really quick before I answer this question, finish answering this question about the shadow side. These pop-up workshops I am so excited for, because it offers us the opportunity to get the BFA out into other places. So like I'm going to Phoenix and Southern California and New York and Kansas City and like Alaska. I'm going to all of these different places because people wanted to book these pop-ups. Oh, Ro, thank you. I'm so excited. All the pop-ups have now been purchased. I'm so excited. Bakersfield. I'm doing I'm doing all of these workshops in person. All of them except one will be open to the public, and that one is not just because it's been filled with other people already. Like we've already got the 25 people or the 20 people or whatever. So those are all filled. But most of them are going to be open to the public. So if you happen to live in the Phoenix area, you'll be able to come to the workshop. Because somebody from Phoenix was like, I want Becca to come to Phoenix, and I want to make sure that I can be at that workshop. So I'm going to pay to do a one-on-one with her while she's there so that we can have this Phoenix. Oh my gosh, 13 minutes. We have almost 11 minutes. We have almost everything done. So here's what I'm going to do when the Kickstarter closes. I decided to have a celebration for myself. I got some pumpkin cheesecake, which I will have a bite of from Yum Bakery, which is local here. And then we will pick the winner for the Write Better, Faster, or Strengths for Writers, because it's American Thanksgiving. So pumpkin cheesecake, of course. We will pick the winner of the Strengths for Writers or Write Better, Faster Tour Stop game. And the way you enter is to go to betterfasteracademy.com/tour stop game. And there's a form to fill out there. It says, fill out this form, click on that link, and then fill out that you were here at this particular event. So it's the live, the final live Q&A on the YouTube channel. And then I will go through in about 20-ish minutes, and I will pick a winner from the people who have filled it out. So please go to betterfasteracademy.com/tour stop game and fill that out for here. Yes, the Kansas City pop-up is open to the public. It is. And there is a Germany pop-up. We are going to be at a castle in Edesheim, I think, Germany, in April. And so the Germany the Germany version is going to be slightly different because we're actually going to stay inside the castle for like 3 days, I think, or 4 days. And so it'll be a little bit more on the expensive side because we have to be in the castle. But yes, it's not a pop-up in the way the rest of them are. It's more like a retreat weekend. And the Germany one is open to anyone, by the way. If anyone wants to come to Germany and be in a castle with me and Roland for like 4 days, you will be able to do that soon because we were asked to do that by a company who does these events in Germany. And so, yes, so we will list the pop-ups on the events page. So betterfasteracademy.com/events. And I believe the New York one will be open to the public. The Southern California one will be open to the public. We may also do more than one in Southern California because of the time that I'm going to be there. We may end up doing like one in Ventura and one in San Diego or something, right? So yeah. Oh, nice. Yes. So to Olga and Mila and anyone else who wants to come to Germany, as soon as we get that open, the company has to send me all the information and stuff. As soon as we get that open, I will put that out to the newsletter and you will be able to just sign up through the company. And then we will be there I think we're there from Thursday to Sunday in April, and anyone is welcome. So you can live in the US or Ireland or Australia and come to the German castle if you would like to. It's open to anybody. So we'll put that in the newsletter as soon as we get it. So, but yeah, thank you for asking those questions, and hopefully, Evie, we've answered the shadow work one. Ask me again if there's more of a question there. And then the next one is, I'm afraid to take a 2-week break mid-draft for vacation because I'm scared I'll lose the story. Here's what I would potentially think about doing for that break, if you're worried about that, is I would try to keep the story in your mind a little bit every day. Like, even if you could just open part of it on your phone and keep reading parts of it and thinking about it and things like that. Like, even if all you did was just keep your brain inside the book for 2 weeks with your phone or with printed pages or handwriting in a journal, if you won't be able to take your phone with you, I would keep your brain in it the whole time if you're able to. And what I do sometimes when I go on vacation, if I'm on deadline mode, is I will get up an hour earlier than everybody else, and I'll just go downstairs wherever we're at, and I'll go sit in the coffee shop or the restaurant if I'm in a hotel, or I will go down to the kitchen table and just sit there for an hour and work on the book just to keep myself a little bit engaged, because I have high intellection. I will absolutely lose my way if I don't at least keep thinking about the book while I'm working on it. So you're for sure not alone there. And there may be an Ireland pop-up as well. I will be at SPS in London in June, and we're thinking about doing a UK pop-up as well, and potentially an Ireland pop-up while I'm there. So definitely be looking for it. betterfasteracademy.com/events is the place that I would look regularly for that. And then, okay, so do you know which state in Germany? I think we're in the Rhineland Palatinate. I think we're in I think we're south. Let me see, south of southeast of Frankfurt, maybe southwest of Frankfurt. I think it's in Edesheim is the name of the place. So yeah. And please feel free, anybody, to come to Germany. I'm very excited. Yes. Okay, so can you explain the difference between your courses and what they are the most helpful for? Absolutely. The Strengths for Writers isn't really a course, it's a coaching cohort. And what we do with Strengths for Writers is we take you through how to understand your strengths. Like, we do some focused time on your individual strengths, right? I'm learning, and send you to different places to do that. And then also we do coaching with you. So the goal in that is really to get the coaching sessions done so that you can have this, I'm going to go understand these on my own and do everything I can do on my own. And we give you some materials for asking questions and understanding that and filtering. And we have some videos and stuff. And then you do a coaching session, and then you do that again, and then you do a coaching session. So that's kind of strengths for writers. It's really good for people who want to get deeper understanding of their strengths. If you're having blocks and you need coaching, that can be a really good place to kind of focus your time in coaching. And then the Write Better Faster course is really a life process class for writers. Let me just check really quick on how the Kickstarter is doing. We have 4 minutes, 609 backers. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is like wild. I'm very excited. This is so excited. But Write Better Faster is more of a class, right? Like we have delivered lectures. There's a teacher in class with you. We coach you in your comments. We encourage you to do back and forth discussions with us in the comments. And then at the very end, you get one coaching session with a coach, but it is much more guided and much more individualized and much more cohort based than Strengths for Writers. Strengths for Writers is very much just like strengths coaching. We usually encourage people to do both of them at some point throughout the course of your career if you get into strengths, just because I think both of them can be really helpful. I just sent the book off to an editor, not my first rodeo. What do you do while you're waiting? Start the next book. Start the next book. Definitely. Yep. Congratulations, Nita. That's exciting. I remember you saying something about less traveling. So that was a hilarious thing. That definitely is not going to happen next year. Yeah. I'd love an Ireland pop-up. I'd 100% go. Rhineland is west. Oh, excellent. Perfect. I'm originally from Germany and could visit my family. I'm from the Heidelberg area. I love that. We went to Heidelberg last time I went to Germany. We went to Heidelberg and spent a day there. It was incredible. I love it there. Just really quickly, in case anybody wants to back the Kickstarter, there are only about 2 minutes left to back. So if you want to back, please do it now. And then when the Kickstarter closes, there will be a little like pop-up that says like, congratulations, everything is done. And also Becca will eat her cheesecake or at least a bite of it, a bite of the cheesecake. And then once that's done, we will pick the winner for the Strengths for Writers or Write Better Faster. The way to do that, again, quick reminder, betterfasteracademy.com/tourstopgame. Fill out the form with a comment. We are so close to the end of this Kickstarter. I'm having a moment. I told both Roland and Crystal this morning. I just cannot wait for this Kickstarter to be done. Like, I'm so excited for it to be finished. So just really quickly also, here is the pumpkin cheesecake that I'm very excited to eat in celebration. I probably won't eat more than about a bite of this thing, but I'm very excited. 111 seconds. Wow. Whew. 105. This is so interesting. Oh my gosh, we hit 610 backers. Yay. This is so exciting. Yeah, I'm so excited. Roland, I love you so much. We have been watching the numbers on this Kickstarter sort of as like a not really a date, but sort of as a date. Every time we talk, every time we do something, it's like, where's the Kickstarter right now? We are at this number. And he's always sending me little texts about what's going on. I love him. He's so adorable. Okay, 1 minute left, 60 seconds. I can't believe it. I love that it goes red where it's like 55, 54, and it's all in red. We are so close to being finished. I am so excited. Yeah, I'm watching the countdown right now, which is so exciting. Just a real quick reminder, if anybody has any questions, coaching questions left, please feel free to put them in the chat still. I'm still going to take questions, and I'm not going to pick the winner for the tour stop game until we're at the end of like all of the questions and all of the Kickstarter is closed. And oh my gosh, 20 seconds. I'm so excited for this to be done. Oh, wow. This has been a little bit of gauntlet for me to do this, and it's been amazing. I have loved not every minute of it, but I've loved a lot of it. One of my favorite parts, weirdly, was the Kickstarter workshop we did last night because I went through, yay! I love that all the little, I don't know if this does this for you all, but all of the little pop-ups of like, hey, this is so fun. Look at this. Look at this. Um, yeah, we're done. 610 backers pledged 41,265 to help bring this project to life. Yay. Fireworks on the screen. I love that. Yay. Thank you, everybody. This was super exciting. I am going to have a little bite of this cheesecake because it's legitimately the best pumpkin cheesecake that I've ever had before. But congratulations. Oops. Not that big of a bite. Congratulations to me. Yay. Congratulations to all of us. Oh my gosh. Fall is just my favorite for this reason in particular. There is something about pumpkin cheesecake that just like gives me life. Yeah. Oh, that was so good. It was so, so, so good. Okay. Now, if anybody else has questions, please feel free to ask them. Kickstarter's closed. Autumn comfort foods are legit the best. They really are. They really, really are. I'm so interested to know if people in other countries have this as well. Not that like non-US countries where like we have Thanksgiving, right, in November, which is so close to Christmas, whereas like Canadian Thanksgiving is in October. So I don't know if everybody in the world feels this way about autumn comfort foods, but I definitely do. Okay. Any other questions? Where should people start on your Patreon when it comes to strengths? Perfect question. We actually have a post that says new here, question mark, start here, exclamation point. And we made that post specifically for people who were either new to strengths or new to the Patreon. And it outlines for you the steps of things that I think you should do when you are new to the Patreon. And so on the patreon.com/BeccaSime, one of the pinned posts at the top, and I think it might be the only pinned post anymore, is called new here, question mark, start here. And I would start with that post. And we talk about the highlighting exercise and stuff like that. So I posted a question earlier, how to change accounts so it didn't look like me. Nita, can you post it again? Was it the one about, I just finished the book now, what do I do now while I'm waiting? Because I did answer that one, but I can answer it again. But if you posted another one, please ask that one again. And if anybody has a question that I lost up in the move around, please also ask that. Again, in the UK, as soon as pumpkin season hits, I'm all about the pies and pastries. Our big November thing is burning effigy of Guy Fawkes. Right, of course, Guy Fawkes Day. Yeah, if anybody hasn't seen V for Vendetta, you can learn about Guy Fawkes by watching V for Vendetta. That's probably a very American thing to say, but yes, please ask any questions that you have. Let me go and get the tour stop game form responses open. Which tour stop did you visit? Sort A to Z. Okay, excellent. Live on the Crowdcast. Live on the Quickcast November. Let me just make sure that, yep. Okay, excellent. We've got, so far we have 45 entries for this one. So please go to betterfasteracademy.com/tourstopgame to fill out the entry form to be able to win. I'm going to randomly pick that in just a second. Oh, yep. So when you were asking me what to do next, I would say write the next book while you're waiting. Definitely start the next book. You could, if you wanted to, start doing marketing plans for the release, but I do think it's important to keep moving forward with the writing. So that's probably what I would suggest. Yeah. Um, yep. Okay. Losing the spark mid-draft. Any advice to reconnect with the project? Everything I've read previously, I start feeling like they're bad. I start feeling like they're bad. So this one is a hard one for me because typically it depends on the context of why you stopped writing, right? If you stopped writing and it's been like 4 years since you picked the book up, from the past, then I would say go ahead and start rereading and edit as you write, right? Like just edit as you go. But if you stopped for 2 days and then now you're feeling like, well, everything I've written is junk, I would say, is that a normal part of your process or not? Because I think many of us, when we reread what we have written in the past, we get self-conscious about our capacity. And then the important thing is to not change anything at that moment, because that's just a fear, right? It's a self-consciousness. Stopped writing for 2 weeks as I'm planning for a big trip. Yeah. So what I would do is I would either move on to a different project for a time period, or I would start rereading it and acknowledge there's a possibility that I'm not going to feel this way about the book when I pick it back up again. Right. And what I probably also would do is I don't know if I'd go back and reread from the beginning. I think I would probably start later in the project. But if it is a feeling, you want to just let the feeling exist as it is and let the book exist as it is and not change anything, just on the off chance that your feeling is not really objectively accurate. Because many of us go through these phases where we think that everything we've written sucks and everything we do is awful. And we want to not change things when we're feeling in that space, especially if you are a person who gets um uh um uh if a person who menstruates, um gets the menses is what I was going to say. But if you're a person who menstruates and you have those fluctuations of your hormones, where it's very possible that you picked the book up in a time when you're not going to be objective about it, then we want to wait. Like we just want to not change anything, not do anything, and wait until I get out of that space, just in case anything else outside of me is causing me. Yeah. Um, yep, it is hard to feel like your writing is not it is not as it is hard to have an objective opinion about your own writing. It's one of the reasons that a lot of us who struggle with this have learned about ourselves. Like, I'm always going to think that my book sucks at certain periods when I'm writing, and I want to just not change anything unless somebody else validates it, right? Because it's probably either old tapes in my head that are trying to protect me from something I don't actually need to be protected from, or it's going to change, right? Because that's the other thing, is if my opinion of it is going to change through no other purpose than just me waiting this out, then I want to go ahead and wait this out. So yeah. Um, Also losing spark on a story, but after a few weeks. So if it's an ideation or an activator thing, right? If you have either one of those strengths, then I would say try to start something new somewhere else and see if you can get the spark for starting back and then return to the book. Or with ideation, if you can ideate something, like don't follow the outline, maybe do something that was unplanned or do something different than what you thought you would do. Then try doing that in order to get yourself re-engaged again. Because sometimes the spark is actually just our biology, or it's the weather, or you know what I mean? Like sometimes the spark isn't actually about the book itself. It's about personality, environment, or something else. And we want to just make sure we're not doing a lot of changing if our mind is going to change about it in 2 weeks, etc. Okay, question. How do you normally recommend for authors to choose which stories to work on? My biggest suggestion is use your intuition about what you think you want to write, and not to try to look too much at the market, and not to try to look too much at what other people say, but to look more to your intuition and what feels really enlivening and exciting for you, because so often our intuition is what's going to drive us towards being more successful anyway. So, yeah. Okay, you've been talking a lot about Enneagram types, but I've taken several tests and gotten several different results. Is there a place you consider reliable to take an assessment? I like the IEQ 9 because Claire likes it, and I think I trust her about the results. I also, if you want to take a free version that I think is really pretty reliable, you can do the Blueprint app on, they're only on Apple. You can only take it on the iPhone right now. I'm hoping that they'll, because I met one of the founders of the app, and they're very, very good at this. And I'm hoping they'll do one for the other as well, like for the Galaxy, etc., Samsung, etc. I forget what it's called, the non-Mac one. Sorry, I have Apple. My brain is not functioning. So the Blueprint app on the Mac store, I like a lot for Enneagram, and the IEQ 9 is a paid one. So, yeah. What if you're the opposite and you think what you wrote is too good and you won't be able to write that good again? Again, so much of this is the fear, right? And the fear that what happens if that, so intuition makes statements, fear asks questions. So if Android, thank you, yes. If what you're worried about is that something might happen in the future, that's a fear thing. Like, ooh, what happens if this? What happens if that? What happens if this? That's fear. And we want to not listen to that part of ourselves whenever we can, because it's so often that it's not being helpful. Like it's not helpful to wonder what might happen if you can't write again, or wonder what might happen if you never write this good again, because all that's trying to do is stop you from writing. And that's not a helpful part of yourself to listen to. So I would say when you feel like what happens if I never write this way again, I would say that's a question we don't need to know the answer to. Like, let's keep writing, because the chances are good, if that fear is coming up, that that's not true. Like that's not a true thing. So yeah, great questions, y'all. Okay, sometimes a big trip coming up will put us into kind of holding pattern that makes us unresponsive to the creative voice. Yeah, because you're thinking about other things. Yep, absolutely. Question regarding intuition. I see a lot of people saying intuition equals pantser, but I'm an avowed plotter and I do feel intuitive. How do you reconcile that? Oh, yeah. Intuition does not equal pantser. Intuition just equals, am I a concrete planner about every single element of my story? And also, you can be an intuitive writer, but not an intuitive business runner. But you can be an intuitive business runner or an intuitive relating person, but not an intuitive writer. In terms of like, you're not writing only according to your intuition. You can write according to story structure, or you can write according to character motivations, or you can write according to a lot of things, but still be basically using your intuition to do storytelling. Or you could completely plan everything and then write according to your intuition. But on some level, if you are writing intuitively, you will be using your intuition to do something inside of the manuscript. But it's possible to be an intuitive person who is not writing by discovery. Absolutely. Like your intuition doesn't necessarily have to be only available to you in the moment. Yeah. It's hard to balance writing, which I feel is a sensitive thing to do when trying to survive in the world. Yep, absolutely. Yep, it is really hard to do that. It's one of the reasons that I encourage people to write first, whenever they're able to do that before they start to get into everything else that's going on. Like before you really click your way onto social media, before you watch the news, before you talk to other people, try to open the manuscript. Because for so many of us, it is extremely difficult, like extremely difficult to do that. For the other tour stops, when will those be announced? Oh, so I'm going to give you guys the rest of the day if you want to do more tour stops to enter. The only one we're going to pick today is just the one where I'm drawing names from today's episode, and I'm going to do that in just a couple of minutes. So if anybody else wants to enter for the drawings, betterfasteracademy.com/tour stop game, and fill out the form and select the one from today, the November one, and the November quick cast. And then we'll pick that in just a second. So I will announce on that page. So on the tour stop game page, we'll announce the winners there. But if you left us your email, we will also email you that you won. And so that was one of the reasons that I think we made the email the only required answer, was so that we would know how to get a hold of you. So go ahead and listen to any of those episodes and enter any of those games. We have several. So one of the things we're doing with these winnings is that we have these little M&Ms boxes that are champagne, little champagne bottles that have M&Ms in them that have my face and the book cover, I think, on them. So that was fun. Those were cute. So we're going to give those away as part of it as well. And then we'll do some giving away of only this episode. And then we're going to give one of the bracelets away to each person. And then we're going to do like a whole every tour stop game person. So you have several opportunities to win if you don't win today. So, all right, one more minute. Let's say at 1:40 for me, or 40 after the hour for those of you who are there. I'm going to go ahead and do the drawing for the Strengths for Writers or Write Better Faster, betterfasteracademy.com/tour stop game. So if I'm relieved that I just got a pass from the final editor that had one of my manuscripts on submission, that's probably my intuition telling me I want to keep that book. Oh yeah, definitely. Yep. Any tips for number 3 learner who loves gathering as much info about writing as possible, but is trying to cut down on what I consume? I need to take more action on what I learned. That's probably what I would do in the short term, is I would try to connect the learning and the action together, right? So I would try to connect, like, I'm doing this class and I'm going to take action on this information. So I'm not going to buy any more courses until I have done the action that is necessary for me on this piece of information. The other thing though, excuse me, is that you often need to leave the environments where you're constantly getting told to do more courses, right? So some of you need to unsubscribe from newsletters, potentially including mine. Like you may need to say, you know what, Becca has too many things going on. I'm going to unsubscribe for a while and then maybe come back later. That's fine. But my hope is from in terms of objectively, that you can leave places where you're constantly finding the need to continue to take more courses. Yeah. Okay. I'm just about ready to pick the winners. If anybody is currently filling it out, let me just see where we've got. I think we've got a few more of these on the bottom. Yep. Okay. Excellent. We've got a few more. Which tour stop did you visit? Sort column A to Z. Okay, here we go. Just on a side note, I think we got 400 and something entries, etc. Okay, so live on the quick cast in total, we've got 48 entries. So I'm going to go to random.org. Hang on. Not random word generator. Come on, Becca. Random.org. 1 in 48. 30. Okay, let's do the 30th person. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hang on, I got to start counting again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 30. Amber Cordova is the winner of the, hang on, let me make a note here, of the winner of SFW/WBF. Okay, hang on, let me do, so Amber, AMBAR, Cordova, if you are here, you just won. Congrats to Amber, and excellent, excellent. Hang on, I have a couple of more things to give away. So random.org, we're going to do one more, 1 to 48, 12. Okay, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So Christine Breen, I was live and even asked a question that was answered. I love that. So Christine Breen, you are going to win one of the albums. So Amber, if you are here, and if not, we will contact you. Christine Breen, you win one of the vinyls. Congratulations. Hang on, I've got to put that down on the form. One, a vinyl. Okay, now we've got one of the decks to give away. So let's do random.org again. You won. Congratulations. Congratulations. 1 to 48. Oh, number 41. So okay, Adam Doyle, if you are here, you won a deck of Author Business Phases. So congratulations to Adam. I don't know if you are currently here, but good work, Adam. And I'm going to give a book away as well. So here is, 43. So there we go. And this one is, hang on. Okay, Christina Morris won a book. Congratulations to Christina. And we will send emails to everybody because I'm not 100% sure if anyone is here. So good work, everybody. Congratulations. Was there anything else I was going to give away? We were going to give away the bracelet. So we have these friendship bracelets. So 1 to 48. We need to do one more time. 5. Hang on, let me go back up to the top here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Barbara Lucas, you won the bracelet, the friendship bracelet from the live. So congratulations to Barbara, Adam, Christine, Christina, and Amber. So good job, everybody. There still are more opportunities to win because we're going to pick some all prize, like we're going to pick some all tour stop prizes. So if you want to listen to more of them, I think when I was going through the list, there were probably like 5 or 6 of them that had only 1 or 2 people who'd filled out the form. So the newsletter workshop was one of them, by the way. The newsletter workshop on October 24th was one of them that only had a few people fill the form out because we weren't promoting it as much. And then the Kickstarter workshop from last night also was another one. So make sure that you fill the form out if you were there. So the other ones are going to not close until the end of the day today. So I want to make sure to give everybody a chance to fill the forms out. We want to give everybody a chance to get all of their emails that they've gotten from both Patreon and the newsletter, and then get a chance to fill that form out. So we're going to give you until the end of the day today to fill those out. And then we're still going to give away we'll give away bracelets for each of the stops for sure. But then we're also going to give away some more all tour prizes. So we'll give away a couple more vinyls. I think because of how many vinyls we are having made, there's a possibility we may give away a vinyl on every tour stop, just because we're going to have about 10 left over from what we're having made for the lowest level. So the overall is going to close at the end of the day on Saturday Central Time. So I'll pick them in the morning. So get them done before 6 a.m. tomorrow on 6 a.m. Sunday. And then, because we had told people they'd close today, but really I don't need it to close today. And then we'll give away some more vinyls and decks and books and stuff. And then all the rest of the bracelets, because we've got, I think, 15 total bracelets we need to give away. So yeah. All right. Hang on. I think I had one more question that was up here. If you're dreading a story that you once liked, and how do you know if it's just repeating patterns of where something went wrong with the story? I think probably a lot of these are going to require external people to help you figure that out, because I don't think you can know that on your own. An awful lot of what I hear when people are like, how do I find certainty about this? How do I find certainty? I'm like, some of the time you're going to have to bring in perspective from other people. And I usually suggest Susan for this, because she is both a strengths coach and an editor. And so that I would potentially do as well. But I do think you're going to have other people enter the chat in terms of the perspective, especially when we can't trust our own intuition yet. I can tell you all day long that your own intuition is the most likely guide, but so many of us get fear and intuition confused when we don't have a lot of security about our own capacity to understand things. So I don't want to just say, well, you'll just know, because some of you think that it's bad when it's not. So I would use external processes. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. We're definitely going to do this with the next Kickstarter. Just on a side note, if you haven't followed me on Kickstarter, make sure you follow me on Kickstarter, because we're going to do another book sometime next year. And then also coming up next year, we have an event that we are going to do a Kickstarter for. So I hope you will join us for that. And Mila, I owe you an email or a SFW thing. So I'm on my way to go do that this afternoon. Because seeing your name reminds me, I have this on my list to do. I need to get that done today. And then don't forget, if you need to coach with me, you can do that via Patreon, patreon.com/Becca Syme. You can email manager@betterfasteracademy.com for that as well. When we're finished with this, you'll be able to watch it from the beginning so that you can go back and listen to the different questions that got answered if you want to go back and listen to some of those answers. And then follow me on Kickstarter. Join the Patreon if you are not yet there. The patreon.com/Becca Syme is where most of our community goes. We're going to be doing some more strengths work. I'm going to talk about the next steps. Again, after development. And then also, if any of you have ideation, I'm going to encourage you to set a reminder on your calendar on the 1st of December to upgrade to the development level for ideation, because we just did the interview this morning. We have Pen Cole and Tao Wong and Terry Schott on this ideation interview. It is one of the best development interviews that we've done yet. So if you have ideation, I highly recommend that you join us on the dev level on the Patreon. And I think it's going to be amazing, the development that we're going to be able to get out of this. So it's going to be a good one. I think you're going to learn some things about ideation that you haven't heard before. So I'm really, really excited for that. take a break and take care of you. Thank you. Thank you also for sharing the pumpkin cheesecake with me. That was like one of the highlights of my day. I love pumpkin cheesecake so much. Better than the Achiever one? Ugh, that's hard because the Achiever one also had a similar feel, right? Where it's like, oh, we just went into a stratosphere. And I feel like we did that with Strategic as well. And even so many of the ones of the past, the development interviews of the past, but man, ideation, this one was good. Like it was really good. Yeah. Can we see the chat after the live? I think so. I think the chat will replay. We usually say, go ahead and replay the chat when we sign up for the lives. And we will probably do a couple more lives throughout the year. We don't do them as much on the Crowdcast anymore. We're doing these deep dive workshops on the Crowdcast. But make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel in case we do more lives in the future. You'll be able to do those. Yeah, that Achiever one was so awesome. It was really good. If any of you are on the dev level and have Achiever, go back and watch that Achiever video. It was good. Okay. Loved seeing everybody. Thank you, Roland. I love you so much. I'm going to go and eat some real lunch that has some real protein in it. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. Thank you for celebrating the Kickstarter with me. Congratulations to all the winners. We will contact you via email on Monday. And I am going to go eat lunch and then take a nap. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. It was great to see you all. See you on the Patreon. Bye.